welcome back to The Explainer. Let's just jump right in today because we are breaking down an absolutely wild timeline. We're looking at the events of Session 24, which is brilliantly titled Third Sun Energy. And honestly, this is a masterclass in how to escalate stakes, taking us from a completely casual morning coffee date all the way to a diplomatic summit with Faerun's most dangerous lich. I mean, how exactly does that happen? How do we go from a local, albeit horrifying, city conspiracy in Waterdeep to a literal cosmic threat involving stolen divine power? The sheer momentum of this single day is just incredible. So let's map it all out. Here is our chronological roadmap for what is arguably the most packed Tuesday ever. We've got the morning starting at a Dog Ward cafe, midday pushing us to the Thyan Embassy, the afternoon escalating at Blackstaff Tower, and finally, the evening winding down at the Blushing Mermaid. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the Casa Lantern Conspiracy. So the morning starts off at this cafe in the Dock Ward, and right away the party is down a few members. Vagna Freether has wandered off drunk, and Shane has vanished into Skullport. This leaves what Valessa calls the pointy-eared gang, Santal, Talia, and Valessa, to strategize their next move. They start laying out the grim, horrifying reality of the Castellanter family's infernal pact with Asmodeus. We're talking about 1 million gold dragons stolen from the city just to pay off a debt. We're talking about Amalia Castellanter literally poisoning 99 innocent neighbors at a dinner party. And it gets worse. Their eldest son, Oswaldo, taken as a down payment and turned into a chain devil. And if the rest of this debt isn't paid, the twins' souls are completely forfeit. The gang realizes pretty quickly that to expose this level of entrenched, wealthy corruption, they are going to need some unimpeachable, noble allies. So they take this nightmare truth straight to the Durenbold family. Valeriana Durenbold is actually so shocked by these accusations against her friends that she just dramatically faints onto a couch. But her wife, Kaith, who's a former adventurer, she listens grimly and agrees to help them out. Together, they put together a 3-step espionage plan. Step 1, reveal the truth to get backing. Step 2, disguise the party as Durenbold's servants or bodyguards. And Step 3, infiltrate the Castellanter's upcoming weekly gathering. Valessa even gets to work crafting a magical hairpin just to hide Santal's tiefling horns. It's a really solid, boots-on-the-ground infiltration plan. Which brings us to Section 2, a Thyan bride. But before those infiltration plans can even get off the ground, Talia gets this urgent telepathic summons from the merchant Sarisha, forcing a massive detour over to the Thyan Embassy. Once they're there, the Red Wizard Yothra Saloon slides a truly staggering offer across the table. 50,000 gold dragons. Let that sink in for a second. That is an absolute astronomical fortune. And to sweeten the deal, she even offers a writ of protection signed by the Lich ruler Sostom himself. Now, obviously, there's a catch, right? Let's talk about what they actually demands in exchange for all that money. They want 3 highly specific, highly dangerous assets. First, they want the Calamus Pactum, which is literally the infernal quill of Asmodeus. Second, they want the hidden pages of the Nothlum, which detail a very specific ritual. And third, oh yeah, they just want the party to hand over their companion, Lysandra Mortain. It is a completely unhinged ask. So Santal immediately and firmly refuses the offer outright, throwing Thay's whole history of aggression right back in their face. But Santal doesn't just stop at no. They counter this bribe with just unparalleled audacity. They casually propose a direct diplomatic meeting with the undead Lich ruler himself. It leaves the door open for negotiations, sure, but entirely on their own terms. And this earns a completely bewildered reaction from Valessa, who just goes, Santal? Are you about to schedule a meeting with Saz Tum? It's this incredible moment of a local civil worker casually treating a global terror like he's just another bureaucratic appointment. Moving right along to Section 3, Mantling a God. To really understand why Shaztam is so desperate for these specific items, Valessa dives deep into her research on those hidden Nathlum pages, and she uncovers a chilling definition. The ritual Shaztam wants is called the Lawful Draw. On the surface, this is just a ritual used to break infernal bonds, but with enough stolen power, say power drawn from an infernal quill and a divine intermediary like Lysandra, it can be used to entirely mantle a god. The party pieces all this religious history together, and it clicks. Shaztam isn't just trying to break a contract. His infernal bond is likely with the god Bane, and he's actually trying to steal that divine power for himself. When you really stop and compare these two situations they're dealing with, It is wild. In one hand, the party is balancing a city-level noble conspiracy, a literal Asmodeus pact, and seeking justice for 99 murdered citizens. In their other hand, they are juggling an international cosmic threat, negotiating with Saztam's proxy, and literally trying to stop a lich from mantling the god Bane. The sheer scale of what they are managing on a single Tuesday perfectly highlights the terrifying and honestly kind of absurd dual threat that the party is facing right now.
Next up, Section 4, The Reluctant Witness.
Knowing they absolutely need serious institutional backing for a summit with a literal Lich King, the party heads over to Blackstaff Tower. There, Vajra Safarl, the Blackstaff of Waterdeep, takes both of these threats extremely seriously. When Sentil mentions the Castellanters, Vajra instantly connects them to the active Ashmodai cult operating right there within the city limits. She demands physical evidence so she can launch a proper official investigation. And, super importantly, for the Than diplomatic meeting, she insists on providing them with an official witness. Which actually brings us to the namesake of today's explainer. The witness chosen by the Blackstaff is none other than Gale Dekarios. Now, earlier, Valilsa had diagnosed Gale right to his face, mind you, with having third sun energy. This is a super biting Menzabrunzin insult that means a person is entirely superfluous or completely dispensable. It's a hilarious dynamic, especially since Gale is literally an only child, but Valilsa's brutal assessment of his overall vibe is completely validated by what happens next. Gale fiercely protests being drafted into this meeting with Saztam's proxy. I mean, he's sputtering furiously about his students, his classes, his very important teaching schedule. But Vajra, she completely dismisses every single objection. She just assigns his assistant to cover his classes and legally binds the disgruntled wizard to this high-stakes summit anyway. His protests are entirely superfluous. It is peak, ultimate third sun energy. And finally, we arrive at Section 5, Con Artists and Family. After a day totally fraught with world-ending stakes, they finally retreat to the Blushing Mermaid for this beautifully grounding conclusion. They walk in and find Valessa's 3 adopted daughters, Nysine, Resora, and Kyla, just absolutely flush with cash, totally surrounded by bags of new clothes and jewelry. And how did they get it? Well, they spent the whole day cheerfully skirting the line between commerce and, straight-up con artistry. They were performing trivial cantrips, cleaning with prestidigitation or using an unseen servant, but they dramatically pretended the magic was highly exhausting. This little theatrical act allowed them to charge Waterdeep locals absolute premium prices. And Valessa's reaction to this is just perfect. Seeing all this new jewelry on them, including a symbol of Elistray, she just dryly observes, "Oh, I didn't know I was raising con artists." It just beautifully breaks the tension of the day. The crushing weight of fiendish pacts and Lich Kings just melts away, giving way to warm food, bickering over sleep schedules, and the ordinary, messy comfort of family. So, the crucial point to take away from this explainer is this final question. As they prepare to infiltrate an infernal noble estate on one front and sit down at a diplomatic summit with a god-stealing lich on the other, how long can they really keep this newfound family and these small, precious moments of normalcy safe? It is a massive escalation of stakes, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how they handle it all. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for the explainer, and I'll catch you next time.